All right. Welcome, welcome. I see we've got a couple people popping on. Is it Eli or Ellie Cogman? Which way? I think it's probably Eli, but I might be saying it wrong. Angela, welcome. You're in the right spot if you're here to see Dr. Lee Davenport and learn about how to make a ton of extra money by sharpening your follow-up skills. You're gonna love this. All right, we'll wait for another few people to pop on here, and so happy to see you guys. Hey, just while we're waiting, if you are joining us, go down to, I think it's at the bottom of your screen. It might be at the top, depending on which Zoom version you have. Go to the chat bar and let me know where you are today. Where are you joining us from? That's really poor language. You're not supposed to end a sentence in a preposition. My mom would have a fit. Tell me from where you are joining us, right? Sophia, welcome. And I only see, oh, here we got somebody. Los Angeles. Okay, and is it Eli? Did I get that right? Or is it pronounced another way? I'm sure to screw up lots of names. Like Teresita, did I say that right? Angela Colfax, awesome, welcome, North Carolina. Love it. Lee, you're still down in Atlanta, right?
I am. And you're up north. How's your weather, Monica?
We're in Cincinnati and it just broke like a week ago. Finally, we were all extremely irritated up here with the weather. It was bad. It was bad. All right, guys, welcome. You're in the right spot for the Espresso Agent Mastery session today. We've got a great one. Dr. Lee is one of my favorite coaches, so super psyched to be here. Glad you guys are here. We'll get started in a few minutes. You guys are early, and you earn a brownie button for that. I'm impressed because you know us realtors are not known for our timeliness for whatever reason. So good for you for being not only on time, but early. All that means, though, is only I'm here to appreciate it. We're going to need to wait for everybody else. I'm psychotically early. I think it was a thing my mom taught me. And I once received a fortune cookie that said the thing about being early is that nobody's there to appreciate it.
So true, Monica. I love that. Right? I'm with you. I feel like I got that from my mom as well, where it's like, okay, seriously though, it's still dark out. Why are you here so early? But I do it.
It's so true. It's so true. Rocky's back again. Rocky, I know I've seen you on a couple of webinars before. Welcome. Good for you for joining us. Hey guys, if you don't mind, comment where you are and where you're living, and if you're in somewhere beautiful and sunny by a beach. I don't want to hear from you on that. You just sit there and enjoy your view. All right. Looks like got a couple more still joining. People are still adding on. Hi, Don. How are you? Don Roy. Okay. I need to know if I'm saying Teresita right. Is that right? Go to the chat bar and let me know if I've totally screwed up your name, because it's a beautiful name. I love it. I'd like to know how to say it. Lee, you have a lot of tabs open. You must be very busy.
I feel like that's how my brain is. Like,
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you do. I love it. I'm about max at 5, and then I start getting like hives.
I've been doing better, but yes, you've seen me. This is a day where I'm probably regressing a little bit.
Good. It's good. You got it under control. It's all good.
But actually, even with what we're doing today, I'm going to be using like 4 of the tabs. So
okay. Perfect. Well, I know that we're going to have more people join us, but I also want to honor and respect the people who are here on time. So let's get started. I'm going to do just a couple little housekeeping things, introduce myself, then introduce Dr. Lee, and we are going to get started. Okay, so I'm Monica Weekly. If you've been on the Espresso Agent webinars, the mastery session webinars before, you know I've been around a while, and I love doing these. I love hosting them. The great people at Espresso Agent are just so focused on bringing you added value and helping you by giving you access to these incredible real estate coaches and real estate agents, just real estate minds around the country. They volunteer for 1 hour to come show us something that they're doing at a really high level. And I just enjoy it. I get to meet great people like you guys and, of course, interact with the coaches and the agents. And it's my true pleasure, and I'm glad you guys are here today. As you know, if you've been on these before, we do have you muted, but that is not because we don't want to hear from you. We do want to hear from you. In fact, we need to hear from you. It's very lonely on this side, right, Lee, when you're giving a webinar and nobody's talking in any way, shape, or form back. So yeah, please use the chat bar. I'll be monitoring it. You can also use the Q&A. I'll be monitoring that. There's Rocky. She said I think it's a she, finally found where to say hi. Yep, you got it. I'll monitor both of those, Q&A and chat bars, as we go. And I'll interject if I see a break in Lee's conversation, or at a very minimum, we'll circle back to your questions at the end, okay? So one question that always gets asked is, can I watch this again? Can I go back? Because inevitably there's going to be a screen you want to capture. I recommend you grab your phone and just take a picture of it if there's something that you want to be able to refer to later. But for sure you can go back and watch this. Espresso Agent has an incredible YouTube channel. And if you've never been there, go subscribe to it. They have all of these, and we do a couple of them a month. They have all of these there. And you can go through and see by category kind of what you might be struggling with or what you want to lean into in some way of mastery, or just because you know you need to do it. All kinds of good stuff there. And this webinar will be there. I don't know if they post it right away, but in the next day or so, I'm guessing. Okay? So yes to that. What else? I think that's it for housekeeping. Now I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Lee Davenport. Welcome, Dr. Lee. Learn with Lee. We love having you on the webinars. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. And I love working with you, Monica, and Espresso Agent. You guys are the best.
They are awesome. All right. So many people around the country know Dr. Lee Davenport. She goes by Learn with Lee, and you should follow her on Facebook because she puts all kinds of great thought-provoking posts out there, and lots of things to take advantage of as an agent. Living in the Atlanta area, has this amazing background, but basically, realtor extraordinaire, coach, writer. She writes for Inman and Realtor.com and all these incredibly popular industry kind of magazines and outside of the industry. I think of you as specializing in a couple things. First of all, like your technology, the way you make technology work for you and make it simple is amazing. And the idea of us being ourselves in sales and really understanding your own personality and how to apply that to work for you. Is that fair? Are those kind of your two passions?
You know what, Monica, you summed it up in a nutshell. I would agree with you. Only thing is, I do feel like my age is starting to show with the technology piece, but that's still my passion.
You know what? Lots of new technology is just shiny objects. We've got everything we need to get what we need done, right? And you know all
right.
That. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Let's see. And you recently got the doctor part of your name is somewhat new. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I guess it's about a year now, right?
It has been, yep.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
That's kind of a big deal. Way to go. Impressive. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you. We're going to talk about follow-up. Guys, do not underestimate the financial power of follow-up. it's where you can really make a difference. So I can't wait to hear your ideas. Take it away.
Thank you, Monica. I really do appreciate it. Yes, everybody, we are talking about today follow-up. Now, I have to say this. This is a snippet. We will just cover during our time today a snippet of the 3-hour, well, it's probably really 4-hour workshop that I do on this. So I don't want you to feel like I'm going to try to throw all of this stuff at you at once and overwhelm you, do the whole fire hose method. I hate it. I'm not going to do that to you today. But I do want to pull out a couple of things that I think are absolutely vital with follow-up that will, if nothing else, I want you to be more thoughtful about your follow-up, and as well as we'll go over some apps and tips and things. So what I have here on the screen, a question to you. Monica, let me know if you get overwhelmed with the chat box, because this one, I've got a couple of games. I do have a lot of things where I want everybody to respond. So if you start to feel like this is too much, I'll dial it back.
No, I hope everybody will just absolutely use their keyboard during this hour. So please participate.
Great. Well, everybody, so let me pose a question to you before we get into this. Over a period of 12 months or a year, how many follow-ups, whether you call, reach out on social media, send emails, do pop-bys and visits, how many follow-ups per week will get you to 100% GCI on average? On average. So how many follow-ups per week would you need to do? 100, 1, 5? What are your guesses?
Okay, so let me make sure the question, if we were to follow up this many times, we could likely predict an income of 100K GCI.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. What
do we got? While you guys are responding, let me say this. Now, I did not make this number up. This does come from the National Association of Realtors. I pulled this number from them. So this is based off of real research and real agents. I don't want you to think these are the mythical people. Like, nobody's doing that. Okay. Got
it. All right. Throw your numbers out there, guys. Come on. Hey, how we show up in here is how we show up out in the world. I want to see you participating. So Dawn says 100, Rocky says 10, great guesses, and I have no idea who's right. Abigail says 72.
I love that number.
Coming in, yes. Yes, very specific number there. I love
right.
it. What else we got? All right, what is it?
So the big reveal is, believe it or not, 11. So I know someone said 10, you were actually pretty close to it. And here on the screen, I have two numbers though. I have 11 versus 150. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because for some of us, we have sizable databases. And I consider your database any person you have ever met in your life, right? So with social media, we're able to connect with people we went to high school 20, 30 years ago. We're able to see people from elementary school. So all of this to me is a part of your database. The amazing thing about follow-up, and this is why I think this is such an important topic, but we seem to forget about, it only takes 11 quality contacts per week, according to the NAR statistics, to get to on average $100,000 per year in commission, versus this other number here represents new lead generation. So that's why I wrote down here conversion versus traffic. So we could convert our database. So you may have a lot of leads that really never did anything, or again, your sphere of influence, even past clients, neighbors, so many different people we have access to. On average, it's 11 versus trying to generate 150 new leads a week. 150 new leads a week compared to 11 is that's a sizable number.
Yeah.
With 150, I'm not saying don't lead generate. I don't want you to mistake that I'm bringing this up to say never lead generate again, but I know some of you may know top producers in your area, or you may be this person that says, hey, I really only work by referral. That's the person focusing on the 11 number as opposed to the 150. So how do we focus more on our existing database in an effective way? We're going to keep going and talk about more of this. But I don't want to take for granted that we all know what follow-up means. I'm throwing it out there. I've been saying that phrase, but what does it mean? I know you guys, I hope you are safe. I don't want you driving and texting and typing. If you're mobile or mobile, then don't worry about responding. But if you're stationary, tell me, what do you think follow-up is? Let's see. Share in the chat box. What is follow-up to you?
Gosh, that can be so many different things. There's no wrong answer there, I'm sure, guys.
Right.
What do you think of when you think of follow-up? I think the chat bar may be on a slight delay. I am feeling that. Okay, phone calls is one.
Good.
Follow-up. Yep. Text messages means to be on top of each client or each potential client. Emails. Make a solid contact and stay in contact through phone calls, emails, note cards. Drop-bys. Good stuff. Follow-up is consistent contact with clients or potential clients.
All right.
Handwritten notes, another way. Awesome. Some good stuff there.
I love it. So guys, yes, all of the above. And let me give you some extended definitions, but everything you've said is so true and very applicable to what this is. So first thing though, before I even get into the definition, I want you to see what follow-up is not, especially if you are using social media for it. So here is a picture. This was a post that an agent mentioned she saw on her Instagram. And unfortunately, what this picture represents is one of her closest friends standing in front of, if you see her caption here, so I bought a townhome today. But unfortunately, she didn't buy it with the agent. And it was one of her closest friends.
Oh, ouch.
That hurts. And I know some of you may have at some point seen somebody on Facebook in your network, and maybe they're not one of your closest friends, but they're still in your network, and you see they just bought or sold a home, or they've done something with commercial real estate or renting, and they didn't contact you first. One of the main reasons why this happens for many of us is a follow-up issue, because with this particular situation, the agent said that her friend didn't realize she was still really in the business. And it was partially from her own mouth. She was saying different things about, maybe she was ready to go back to her old job and different things that just said she wasn't committed. So unfortunately, the agent kind of put the nail in the coffin of her missing out on this transaction. And I don't want you to do that. So what is follow-up though? Well, dictionary definition says it's a continuation or repetition of something that has already been started or done in particular. Notice I have the money falling. This is one of the best ways. Follow-up is one of the best ways to earn money, but if you're not doing it, it's one of the fastest ways to lose money. Now, what just popped up on the screen is my extended definition of what follow-up is. And I'll read it to you. So it says a continuation of client. Now, I had to put that word in asterisks, guys. Why? Because many of us are good at relationship building, meaning I will meet you for brunch and we can chat and we can go get coffee and we can go to the movies and we'll talk about your hobbies and your children and your parents. That's relationship building, which is fantastic. But follow up in our business, it needs to be a continuation of a client relationship. We'll talk more about that, but that means they need to identify you as a trusted real estate advisor. And I'll tell you, just like with that last agent example, some of us, our closest friends, and definitely our network on social media, they do not recognize us as a trusted real estate advisor. As a friend, yes. As someone I can call when things go wrong, yes. but that is not the same thing. So I'll talk about that a little bit more. The next part of the definition, it says, I have not one and done. So it's not one call and done. It's not one email or text message or anything else pop by. Whatever else you guys mentioned, those were all wonderful. Note cards, all of that is fantastic. But I also see many of us have too much of a gap between the things we do in our business, right? So someone may do very well at sending out note cards or doing pop buys, but they only do it hit or miss once a year. And then it makes sense that the people we were following up with may or may not remember us. So let me keep reading with the definition. So it's a continuation of client relationship building. It's not one and done beyond a particular transaction. That's another part where some of us get stuck. We are focused on the transaction of the moment, and then after closing, they may get one final thing from us, but a year later, 2 years later, we are not still in touch with past clients. I'll continue reading. That keeps you top of mind. That's something that I think many of us actually do pretty good at, staying top of mind. But like I said, it's more from a I'm your friend, or we get along top of mind, versus top of mind where I see you as my trusted real estate advisor. The last part of this says, and intrigues the prospect to say, tell me more. This is also a part where I don't notice a lot of us doing this. And I'll tell you, I know most of the parts of the nation, you're probably, if you're like here in Atlanta, you're in an inventory shortage. If you are, then you know it's not just staying top of mind. People might remember you're in real estate, but if they don't have enough information from you and enough interest in what you're saying to say, tell me more, I want to learn more, I want to work with you more, then you still haven't done a complete job of follow-up. So I know my definition here is long, but as you can see, it covers so many pieces of the process that we either overlook or we get burdened down in other parts of the transaction, and we kind of miss this last part of follow-up. Well, let me give you the 4 laws of follow-up, all 4 of them, an overview. As I mentioned, this is from a much longer class. So today I'm not going to focus on all 4 laws, obviously, because again, I don't want to do the fire hose method. But let's go through what the 4 are. So number 1, I want you, if you haven't done this before, I want you to offer timely items of value. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have been the type, matter of fact, I'll use an example from the class. I did this class this morning, and one of the agents shared with the group that he sends out personal note cards. So anytime he speaks to someone, meets someone at an event, he is very diligent about then following up with the note card, which is fantastic. That's great. So he got I know, Monica, earlier you said they get brownie points for being early. So I gave him a brownie point.
Yes.
But here was the thing. It's not just giving people something to remember you by. I use that word item of value, and it needs to be a real estate value. So I asked him, hey, what are you putting in the note cards? And he said, well, you know, whatever we talked about, I would speak to it, say, you know, for example, maybe they were saying their kid had a little league game. I would put that in a note card. Like, I hope it went well. I hope he, you know, scored a home run, whatever it may be. And then he'd put his business card in, and that would be that. He'd seal it up, send it out. Well, with him, what we saw today, and I like to do these statistics, so I had everybody in the group write this down, but we saw with this particular gentleman, he was doing about 90 follow-up calls a month, which is pretty good. However, and sending out note cards. So 90 follow-up calls and note cards. However, his conversion ratio was only 20%. And that is very low when you're dealing with follow-up. With follow-up, you should expect, if you do 90 calls, you should expect that about half of them, so you want to get to about 50%, are connecting with you and moving forward. Now, we do know whenever we contact people, people are at different stages, right? So maybe they have to repair credit. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're going through something that means they can't buy or sell today. That's not what I mean. I do mean, though, that this person is in your queue. They've got you locked and loaded as their trusted real estate advisor. So for him, we felt like immediately, okay, you're doing a great job with getting in front of people, staying top of mind, but you're not getting them to say, tell me more. So with him, we were able to look at items of value related to real estate that would get people to say, oh, wow, you know, tell me more about the real estate process, not just your interest in my son's game. All right. So again, I just want to give you an overview. I won't go too deep into number one right now, but if you're not offering real estate related items of value, so if you're sending to people recipes, that's fine, on how to make brownies, that's fine, but that needs to be coupled with something related to real estate. For example, maybe if you work with first-time home buyers and in your area there are various first-time home buyer programs, well, sending that or sharing that, doing a video about it. The method you choose to distribute it is up to you, right? So it could be email, it could be through the mail, it could be a phone call, it could be a video, it could be a social media post. That's fine. You pick your weapon of choice, but it needs to be something that they say, oh, I didn't know that I could get a doctor's loan through, for example, Bank of America, and they'll give me up to $2 million with no down payment, right? As a first-time buyer who finished medical school. That's just one thing to think about. But the point is, being that local trusted expert, that sharing with people ways for them to make the selling and buying process easier, right? It's going to be dependent upon who your target market is. Maybe you're not working with first-time buyers. Maybe you're working with move-up sellers. Whatever it may be, there's something of value that group needs. And that's the first step of this. If you haven't done it before, I want you to challenge yourself after this call. Do one item of value. Think about who you're trying to reach. Who do you really want to work with? This is your time to start targeting. Who do you really want to work with? And when I say who do you want to work with, I don't mean that from a fair housing violation standpoint. So we are not looking at any protected class. I do not mean that at all. What I do mean is maybe price point, maybe area of town, right? Maybe their income level and so forth. So things that are related to the house hunt or the selling process, not anything that is a protected class. The second law of follow-up is to automate what you can. So many of us are solopreneurs. And if you've never heard that term before, it just means you work by yourself. You don't have any type of team. You don't have an assistant. You don't have buyer's agents, listing agents to help you. It's just you. And I'll tell you, in our industry, I know many of us want to be an army of one. We take pride in being an army of one. But it's 2018, and there's enough technological products out there that can make you feel like you've hired an assistant. And that's amazing to me. There's so many different apps and tools that can help you turn a part of your follow-up process that might have taken you several hours into now it only took several seconds, right? So many things that fit that. Today, I don't want to try to cover any of that in our time. I'm going to skip over 1 and 2 in our time again, just because we don't have that much. I feel like when I go through automation is a topic where so many times people want a show and tell. You know, you want me to do a full-blown tutorial. So I don't want to take up the little bit of time we have just trying to walk through different apps. But I will say, Monica mentioned my Facebook information earlier. If you want me to send you, and Monica, actually, I can even give this to you guys at Espresso. If you want the full slide deck of everything, which includes the name of different apps, I'm happy to send that over. So I'll give it to Espresso Agent.
Yeah, that'd be great. Jen or Eden. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it that way. And that way we don't get bogged down.
Perfect.
The number 3 thing, and I'm going to talk more about this today, is I want you to also give away your inefficiencies. Monica said it in the beginning. One of my favorite things beyond technology is really helping you identify and really kind of pushing you to identify what your strengths are, being proud of your strengths, and not feeling like your weaknesses are the scarlet letter or a reason for you to feel like I can't succeed in this business. Last year I got a chance during my doctoral dissertation to study the top 1,000 agents in the nation. And the amazing thing, guys, that I absolutely love about this is that in that top echelon, the people that are making 40, 50 million in sales volume, many of them understood how to play to their strengths. And not only that, all personality types were represented. So again, we know that some of us, if you're familiar with the DISC profile, some of us are dominant, that D, we're more aggressive by nature. We're competitive by nature. I'm a D. Some of us are I's, influencers. I call that the chatty Cathy, the person that they can walk into a room and never have met a stranger. Then you have some of us that are C's. We are the compliant people. We are the efficiency people. We will pay attention to detail. And then the last is S. Well, I got the letters out of order, but you know what I mean. So S, steady. These are the people who are solid as a rock. They're trustworthy. We can go to them in a time of crisis. And the amazing thing about being human beings is that we represent all 4 of these personality types. At least we have one that's more dominant, but then there's other people who complement us. So we don't have to do everything ourselves. We don't have to try to be all things for all people for every part of our business. So I want to talk more about this. And I am, even with giving away your inefficiencies, I know some of us don't give things away because of cost. We feel like it's going to be too expensive. I'm not ready to hire somebody 40 hours a week. You don't have to. I'm going to give you my resources. Some of them are free. So we're going to look at that today. And the other ones are very inexpensive. For example, I have a virtual assistant company that I like to use where you can get people for as little as $2 an hour. And they're good people. Like, it's legit. It's not like, oh, this is garbage. So we'll look at that. The other thing, sometimes we don't give things away. I heard this morning. If you're probably that C, conscientious personality type, you do get bogged down in the details and you feel like, well, by the time I train you on doing it, I could have finished it. I could have done it and done it 3 or 4 times, right? Well, even with that, there's a method to the madness. So we're going to look at that a little bit more. Monica, how am I doing on time? I know it's going quickly.
Yeah, we're at 2:30. We just aim to wrap it up a little before 3.
Okay. The 4th thing, I'm in good time. So the 4th thing that, again, we won't get to number 4 today either, is time blocking the rest consistently. So you create these items of value, then you automate how you get them in front of people and how you stay top of mind. You start giving away what your inefficiencies are, and then guess what? You're left with, though, some things to do. You're still left with some work. And what you should be left with, these are your strengths. Now here, I worked with agents where they've done a great job of having items of value and using technology and even hiring virtual assistants or other people to work with them. But then they aren't time blocking the things they need to do. And unfortunately, the things they still need to do and that's still on their plate, it doesn't get done in a timely fashion. So follow-up really does take all 4 of these things, and they need to, I almost think of like juggling balls in the air. We need to have all 4 of these things going at once. Well, I have a game, guys. I don't know, Monica. I'm almost feeling like this might be a little challenge with the webinar, but let's try it. Let's see.
Try it.
We'll see. And if it doesn't work well, I'll stop it.
All right.
So I love.
Yeah, the feud.
Family Feud. I love it. Well, we're talking about giving away your inefficiencies. And before I get into how do you give away your inefficiencies, what resources should you use, let's just play a quick game. So this is how I'm thinking we can do this with the chat box. I think if anyone is in the southern part of the country, they'll be on team A.
Okay.
They'll be on my team because I'm on the south side.
All right.
And team B, Monica, you can head that up. If they are in the northern part of the country, they're on team B. If they are out of the country, we'll make that team C.
Okay. I don't know if we have any out of the country today.
Yeah, just in case. But yeah, no, if not, no worries.
All right.
So our Family Feud challenge today, top 5 answers are on the board. And what we're trying to answer are, what are the 5 signs it's time to hire? I put virtual assistant, but really an assistant. What are the 5 signs it's time to hire an assistant? Now, in order to decide which team goes first, are you guys able to see who the first person who logged in today? I know, Monica, you said when you logged in early, you don't really get the credit, but they're going to get the credit today.
They're going to get the credit today. Gosh, I think it was, who was it? I can't exactly remember, but let's just say it at the top of the list only because I think it's alphabetical now. Abigail is first. So we're just going to go with Abigail. Plus, she's been participating strongly in the chat bar. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So Abigail, are you on the north part of the country, south part of the country?
Let's see where Abigail is. Abigail is Sarasota. Remember, I told people in Florida not to tell me where they're from because I didn't know about it.
That's so funny.
She's south. All right, you guys are up.
Okay, so we go first. So, hey, everybody that's on the call, if you're in the southern part of the U.S., chime in. What is a sign that it's time to hire a virtual assistant?
All right, Melissa says papers piling up.
I love it. Okay, let's start with that one.
Is it on the board?
I'm going to say overwhelmed daily. That's how I feel when paper piles up. So let's give it to you.
That's true. 4 transactions going on at any one time.
Yes.
Missing deadline. Oh, we've got them. Just everybody's throwing out their names.
Well, yeah, let's go to your team, Monica, if you see anybody.
All right, yeah. Anybody from the north want to throw something out? Because the south is full of answers. I'm going to say, I was going to say missing deadlines. Somebody already said that. Let's see. Signs it's time to hire a virtual assistant. You're working 80 hours a week.
So I'll say no time for you or your family.
That's it. Yep. Yeah.
All day, every day.
The north, number 1 answer.
Number 1 answer. Okay, South, we got to redeem ourselves. Give us another one, guys.
You guys had missing deadlines.
Missing deadlines. So I'll put things fall between the cracks.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, come on, North team. We need an answer. I need a fresh one on the chat bar now. Help me. Help me. Let's see. Again, I think there's a slight delay on when the chat shows up. So, okay, let's see. You are neglecting your revenue generating activities in exchange for administrative. Yes, doing all the jobs.
Yes, all day, every day, unfortunately.
Right.
So we want to change that. Well, the last answers on the board, it's back to the South. Let's see if we can get it. Anybody on the South?
Let's see. You guys did have, I think Angela was on the South, and it said 4 transactions going on at any one time. So success is happening. Is that on the board?
Not for our last one.
Okay, then. Oh, you got a buzzer. Oh, that's brutal. I love it.
So So North, you guys, and I'll just give the answer to
Yeah,
not
let's
belabor.
see what number 5 is.
So number 5 is when you're angry, disrespectful. You know how when basically you get grouchy. You know how that happens when you're so overwhelmed. You're giving everybody the business. Well, that is, in a nutshell, those are the 5 signs it's time to hire. And I really want to ask you all, thank you first for participating in our game. It worked out better than I thought. So great. Yay.
Good. Good job.
But I want to ask you guys, I want to put that to you. So out of the 5 things, no time for you or your family. Do you feel that way? Do you feel overwhelmed daily? Do you have inconsistent income? Are things falling between the cracks? Do you feel angry and hangry and just kind of perturbed by everything that's going on? Well, again, let's talk about what do you need to do to get some of this stuff off of your plate and give away these inefficiencies. Before I go further, the next thing I'm going to talk about has a worksheet that goes with it. So that's this link here, guys, the bit.ly level up worksheet, okay? Which is, here's the worksheet. So what this worksheet has, and I'm getting ready to walk through it pretty quickly, but you can, since this will be on replay, you can replay the video later to slow it down. I want to walk through this. I've got a few things to help you hire, as well as a candidate checklist here in black. So that's on the other side there. So let's talk about this a little more. First thing I want you to identify, if you could identify, I've got all this music built into my slides.
We've never had music on slides before. You're a first.
Yeah, I love music. I feel like it kind of keeps you awake and keeps you going with it, especially when this is a 4-hour live thing. So
can I ask you a question just as we're linking these things together with the follow-up in the sense of that, is this virtual assistant aspect or whoever leading us to making sure like the mundane, unimportant things, not unimportant, they have to happen, but somebody else can do them so that we can do the follow-up so that we can bring in the 100K GCI and focus on that. Is that where am I following?
Good question, Monica. Yes, you are following. And it may not just be giving away the mundane things. It's also the things that maybe you aren't strong at because of your personality. Again, I'll use the people from the class today. Certain personality types are not going to do well with cold calling, and that's okay. So even today, we looked at with the resources I'm going to mention, you can hire an ISA, someone to do your cold calling and everything, right? So it may be you even outsource cold calling, depending on your temperament and what is easiest for you to do, because that's what I really want to get people to focus on with follow-up. So yes, you are right. Yes, you nailed it.
And do you outsource follow-up in any way?
You can, yes. So the resources I'm going to show are both sides.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So good question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you guys, for those of you that maybe identified with some of the 5 things from our game, whether it's you don't have enough time for you, or you have inconsistent income, or things are starting to fall through the crack, what is holding you back from hiring? Why have you delayed on giving away your inefficiencies? What's been the delay?
Probably, I would imagine, a little bit of scarcity mentality. Yeah, lack of money or scarcity that I'm going to make a commitment to this person and then the money's not going to be there.
I love that, Monica. That usually is probably the number one thing that I hear. So again, if anybody's feeling that way, let's look at some of those resources that can help you. Okay. The first thing that I want you to do, and again, you can download that handout. You can even, if you are sitting at a computer, you can open up that link I had earlier and look at the form right now too. First thing I want you to identify are, what are your strengths? What do you do best in your business? It may not be follow-up. You may be someone who's been in the industry 10, 20 years, and you can say your entire 10, 20 years, you've just never been good at follow-up. Well, don't write that down right now. I want you to write down, what are your strengths? Are you the best at networking? Or maybe you're the best at cold calling, or the transaction management from contract to close. Maybe you're like the rock star at getting the contract sealed or negotiating, whatever it may be. So I want you to think about that. Write that down on that form or any sheet of paper you have. Identify your strengths. This is critical because I've noticed that sometimes when we're hiring, especially in regards to follow-up, we don't actually give away our weaknesses. We give away our strengths, and then we get frustrated because if you're strong at something and you give it away to someone who is not as strong as you are, they will never do it right in your eyes. It will never be good enough. And that's not what I want you to do. So identify what your strengths are. These are the things you're going to keep, at least for now. Then after identifying your strengths, the next thing I want you to identify are your weaknesses. Now, I've got up here 4 areas where you might be weak, okay? I know we automatically think of a weakness as this one, the third one down, what we don't do well, which is true. But I don't want you to just think of what you don't do well. I want you to also think of things that do not have a high time cost ratio for you to do it. Let me give you an example. So there was an agent who had a meeting with a multi-million-dollar commercial developer, and she also needed to deliver a live blue ink signed contract. They were at the same time. So instead of doing the right thing, giving away the inefficiency, having a courier, pay $20, have them run across the town the contract, she ran the contract across the town and missed the meeting and lost this multi-million-dollar developer deal, which is, it's like, who does that? And I know in the moment, she probably figured I can zip over here and zip back. But of course, traffic, all types of things jumped in her way. So it did not happen. She lost the deal. I want you to think about that. There are, for many of us, things that we can give away, not because we don't like it or we're not good at it, but because it's just not a good use of our time. Mm-hmm. Give it away. The second thing is, I do want you to give away, or at least start to list what you don't like. What don't you like? I really like when agents are honest with themselves about this, because some people will say, I really don't like generating leads. Some people will say that, and that's okay, because now we know how to fill in the gaps for you so that you can focus more on actually working with the client. Fine. As we've already mentioned, what you don't do well. And then lastly, there are certain things that we might be doing that seems nice and it gives you a warm and fuzzy, but ultimately it does not in any way, shape, or form lead to making money. So these are the 4 things that I want you to look at and identify what you need to get off your plate. What do you need to let go of?
Hey, Lee, what if I love it, I'm good at it, and it doesn't make me money? Like, we're weighing some of those things, right?
That's a good point, Monica. I like that. So if you like it and you're good at it, but it's still not making you money, then if you're a solopreneur, you need to give it away. Right. Because if you keep doing it, when you only, all of us, we have 24 hours a day. And unfortunately, if we spend an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours on something that doesn't translate into income, then we're going to be disappointed. And what you thought you loved, or you probably did love at some point, you're going to start to resent. Mm-hmm. Get it off your plate. Mm-hmm. So in looking at this, and again, I'm going to mention some resources in a moment, but I want to give you some price points because, as you mentioned earlier, Monica, scarcity, that income side of this, where how can I really afford to hire someone and pay them regularly, starts to come into play. Well, again, with the resources I'm going to show you, some of them can be by projects. Just today, again, since I did this class this morning, one agent mentioned she really, really needs someone to compile her database. She has business cards in one stack. She's got emails somewhere else. She's got numbers on her phone. None of it is connected. It's very disjointed. She can have someone do that for her and it'd be a one and done job, right? So it does not have to be a perpetual, you work for me for the next 40-year lifespan. And for some of us, that may be the case where maybe you have projects that you need people to work on. But the great thing with hiring someone, you can start them off for as little as $2 an hour with the resource. I'm going to show you a couple of the resources. So, and they're, again, like I'm telling you, these people are good. They're legitimate. They're not going to be people that you feel like, okay, that was a waste of $2. Now, I do have a candidate checklist, so I do want to talk about that. But before I move on to that, $2 to $10 means you do still have to be hands-on. Now, what I mean by that is, say like you decide, hey, I want to do more follow-up on social media. I know I have a lot of people in my social media network, but I just don't have the time to follow up. Well, with this lower price point, they will know social media. It's not that you've got to be hands-on with the skill set that you're hiring them to do, but you do have to be hands-on in helping them understand you and how you run your business, what you expect in your business. So you have to be hands-on in letting them know about you. But the second price point range, the $11 to $16 an hour price point range, oftentimes at that price point, you can find people who have worked for other realtors, other real estate firms. So this is not new to them. They may not need you to really tell them too much of anything. And the good thing about follow-up, whether again you're doing note cards or phone calls or social media or emails or whatever else you're thinking of, with these price points, the higher you go, the less amount of time you'll need. So that first pay range of $2 to $10, they might need 3 hours a week, 4 hours a week. In the second one, you would expect them to need maybe only 2 or 3 hours. And then in the highest price point, where you're paying $17 or more, you'd expect them to only need 1 or 2 hours. And this higher price point means they might say to you, I was an agent, I was a top producing agent, and I can do this better than you. So I don't want you to tell me how to set this up. I can, and not in a disrespectful way, I don't mean it disrespectfully, but they might come with such a level of skill and knowledge at that higher price point that really you can sit back and let them go to town on your follow-up. So you identify what your budgets are, but even with all three of these different categories, ultimately you can get away with less than $100 a month and give away some significant pieces that have been slowing you down. So I don't want to delay this any further. I will jump into first our candidate checklist, okay? So with the candidate checklist, which is here on this handout that I mentioned, in the Black section, these are things that I feel like, because we are in an Amazon culture, they're very basic to us. We get it. We understand it. The only thing that I'm noticing is that many of us, when we're hiring in our business, we don't then apply it to hiring. For example, the first one I want you to have at least 3 to 5 hiring choices. Sometimes, depending on if we are in a desperate situation, we may take the first person that comes along, and that doesn't really make sense. You know, often many of us, even on Amazon, we could be buying something that is not going to affect our entire business, right? It could be a book, it could be anything. And the funny thing is, we go on Amazon, and oftentimes, if we didn't go on there with a specific brand or product in mind, we will shop around and we'll look at 3 to 5 choices or more. So I feel like in hiring someone, you should see this responsibility as, you know, even weightier than what you would with shopping for a product on Amazon. The second thing that we do on Amazon is we're often looking for 5-star reviews, or if not all 5s, it's got to be pretty close. Most of us, if we got on Amazon and we came across a product that had only 1 stars, even if we heard it was the best thing since sliced bread, we wouldn't get it. We just move on with our lives, because to some degree, those reviews we start to trust, especially if there are multiple reviews, which is the next thing. I want you to make sure that in working on these sites that I'm going to recommend and hiring someone to help you take away your inefficiencies, you don't have to be the guinea pig. You don't have to be the first person to work with this person. Check for people that have 5-star reviews and they have multiple reviews. And then in having multiple reviews, the next thing is that the review should be quality. Just like on Amazon, you know, some people will write a paper, you know, to be several pages on why they liked the product or why they didn't. With these sites, they do the same thing. They actually, a lot of people that have hired these admins will give very detailed descriptions. That's what you want to look for. If you find someone that doesn't have a lot of reviews or they have no substance behind why they were given the rating that they were, keep moving. The next few things here with your candidate checklist, make sure there's a style fit, right? We just played a game where we're looking at the south part of the country versus the north. You know, I like to hire people that understand Metro Atlanta. If you have a limited knowledge of my area, that's not really going to be a style fit for most of my clients. So that may be something you want to consider. The next thing, their written and verbal skills. If you're going to have them send emails on your behalf or personal note cards or even write on social media for you, you don't want to look at their resume and they have typos and misspellings and then use them, because they're going to probably do the exact same thing. So you want to vet them. I have to say all of this because I feel like often by the time we get ready to hire someone, we are in a very desperate place. So we compromise these things. I do think most of you would agree that the candidate checklist I have here is pretty intuitive. I mean, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, duh, we should do all of these things. But I promise you, in the heat of the moment, for whatever reason, our emotions, our whatever, we just go tilt and go in the wrong direction. The last two things, I want you to check their response rate. If you are engaging with someone and it takes them a long time just to respond during the interviewing process, then you probably don't want to hire them. They're going to probably be someone that drags their feet on assignments. Then also have a probationary period, right? Don't hire someone with the expectation that they're going to work for you for the next 5-10 years. Let them know, hey, let's try out 30 days. Let's see how you do on a few assignments. Here's some due dates and so forth. And let's see how it goes. And depending on how it goes from there, then you can move forward in the hiring process. Well, last thing before I tell you the resources, I want you, and the reason why I'm building all of this up before I give you the resources is because I feel like when I give the resources first, people miss this stuff. And this is so important. What I have here is I want you to have a confidentiality agreement. Whether the person is virtual or sitting next to you, you should never give someone access to your passwords and your database and all of these very private things for your business without having a confidentiality agreement. If you have a preferred attorney that you work with, I'm sure they could pull this up for you, but there's also different websites that provide these for a small fee, right? So have a confidentiality agreement. Well, I've promised you some sites that I want to give you to help you with this. So let's talk about these. First and foremost, even before we get to the websites, some of you, when I do these classes, so many people tell me, well, my cousin, brother, grandchild, son is very good at these things. They can help me with technology, or they can help me do emails or send out postcards. So do that. If you have trustworthy family and friends, please don't hesitate to work with them. But the next thing that I love, and I use them all the time, college students. So here in Georgia, we've got 2 schools that I've worked with, but I'm sure there's more, where they require, they require their students to do internships with sales professionals in order to graduate. So we've got a couple of schools here like that. And I'm sure wherever you are, wherever your neck of the woods you call home, you likely have some internship programs through your local college. I love doing this because the college students usually are on the cutting edge. They understand things, and we didn't get into automation, but in speaking about automation, they often will know tips and tricks to help automate things for you as well. So college students are fantastic, especially if they have to do an internship required by their school, because guess what? That's free 99 most often. I always still give a tip. I really do believe in paying people, especially if they do a good job. But imagine getting 3 months of work for your team, your business done for free. The other thing would be an office share. Sometimes some of these things are great, but you would do better financially if you could share it with another agent in your office. Do it. It's great. So college students and so forth. Now, here are the online sites that are pretty much like the Amazon of hiring assistants. My favorite one is Upwork.com. Has anybody heard of that? Monica, have you ever used that before? I feel like we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I've never used them, but I've heard of them before.
Okay, yeah, so Upwork is my favorite. I have actually hired people to do cold calling, social media, all types of things. My agents have definitely, my coaching clients, they've done it too. So Upwork is probably our favorite because, like I said, it's like using Amazon from the standpoint of you can see and really review someone before you hire them. There's a lot of data there to see how well they work and so forth. And then when you do use Upwork, the other feature that I love is that because they're virtual, some of us get a little wigged out by that, but with Upwork, you can actually see what they're working on. You can log in to the platform, and when it's their time to work for you, you can actually see the different things that they're working on, whether they're just playing around on Facebook or they actually helping you follow up on Facebook, right? I love it. The second thing, in Upwork, you can start off with that price point of $2 an hour.
Cool.
The second one here and the third one, both of these are pretty much the same, ccmyadmin.com or the vahub.com. These are a little more expensive than Upwork. Upwork, you're going to be able to start at $2 an hour, and you post your own jobs and projects. But the difference, ccmyadmin.com and the vahub.com, both of these are slightly more expensive. They're starting roughly at around $10 an hour. The reason why, though, is because instead of you having to post a job and kind of filter through people, they do it for you. So now you just go to these companies, say, this is what I need, and then they pair you. So obviously, if you have to do the hiring yourself, you're going to pay less. And if you can just show up and they show up and it works, then you pay a little more. But these are 3 resources that has really helped agents make follow-up a prominent part of their business, whether they give away follow-up or they give away the other aspects of their business. But like I said, I want you to focus on what you don't like or do well, or what's not cost effective for you in your business. So with that, Monica, I know we are pushing the clock, so I will stop there. But so that, again, was our third law of follow-up, giving away your inefficiencies.
I mean, it's all about leveraging through people and leveraging your time and doing the money-making activities of follow-up, which you really brought to light the level of importance of that. I think we underestimate that as agents a lot. Or we know it's important, but we don't think it's that big of a deal, right?
Right.
That is awesome. Any questions for Lee? Like, we have, maybe a minute left. We always want to honor your time, and I know you probably have appointments as well, Lee. So anybody have, we have a thank you in our chat bar for you. It was great. Good stuff. I love it when a presentation makes us think. And I think this makes us reflect a little bit on how we're spending our time. So it was great.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. And yes, so I will again send the slide deck over in case you guys want to see more, since I didn't have time, obviously, to cover it all.
That'd be perfect. And if you'd like the full slide deck and anything else, please reach out to the Espresso agent support desk. They can help you there. All right, Lee, you're the best. It was so great to reconnect with you again. Thank you for donating your time to the Espresso Agent group, and can't wait to see you again.
You too, Monica, and thanks everybody for having me. Have a fantastic afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. See ya.